All right, so today we're going to connect a series of dots. And these are ideas from our source material that, at first glance, they seem to have absolutely nothing in common. We're going to go from the phone that's right there in your pocket all the way to the very nature of reality itself. And by the end, we're going to see how they're all part of one single kind of hidden story.
So, what is the connection between your phone, the cash in your wallet, and the air you breathe? I know, it sounds like some kind of riddle, right? But it's not. The sources we're looking at suggest there is a very, very real and pretty surprising connection between all three. And honestly, getting a handle on it, well, it might just change how you see everything. Okay, so our journey here starts in the real world, with things we can actually touch and feel. We're talking about the tech we hold in our hands every day and the systems that, make our economy tick.
You know how we're always being sold on the next G? Well, 6G is being pitched as just another speed upgrade, right? Faster movies, cleaner streaming. But the source material we're digging into, it paints a completely different picture. The real goal here isn't just faster downloads. No, it's about creating what they call an AI native network. Think about that. It means our entire environment, literally the walls in your house, the benches on the street, it all becomes part of this massive sensing grid.
So what's the catch? Well, according to the sources, this kind of total integration brings three huge risks to the table. First, privacy as we know it pretty much collapses. All that data, from every little thing you do, it all gets fused together and analyzed. Second, we're talking about a society-level cyber vulnerability. Imagine attacks on our infrastructure unfolding at machine speed, way faster than any human could possibly respond. And third, it opens the door for automated systems of control, both from the state and corporations. And here's the really chilling part. When the network is literally everywhere, the idea of opting out, well, that just might not be an option anymore.
But even as this big push for total digital tracking speeds up, there's this really interesting counter-movement bubbling up. And it's focused on protecting one of the very last tools we have for true anonymity.
And this isn't just some abstract debate either. Over in Europe, you've got nations like Hungary, Slovakia, and Slovenia taking this incredible step. They're actually writing the right to use physical cash directly into their constitutions. Think about that. It's a very deliberate move to make sure people always have that choice, the ability to buy something without leaving a digital trail. It's a really powerful, very modern way of saying we want to control our own financial lives.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. We've looked at the tech in our hands. Now let's talk about the invisible systems that might be at play in the very air we breathe. Systems that, let's just say, are starting to get some serious questions asked about them.
I want you to think about this number for a second. 13 million. That is how many people in California's Central Valley have been living under this persistent toxic fog. But the weirdest part, the part that really makes you go, According to the official meteorological folks, this fog is expected to last indefinitely. Indefinitely.
Now, the source material we're looking at basically says that just doesn't add up. The official story doesn't hold water. I mean, think about it. Since when can anyone predict a natural weather event is going to last indefinitely with that kind of certainty? It's this gap, this disconnect between the official narrative and what people are actually seeing that's raising a lot of red flags. And when you dig into it, the source points to a bunch of things that just don't feel right. For one, natural fog moves. It's weather. This stuff, it's just sitting there, stagnant. Then there's the fact that a really similar thing happened just last year across 24 states at the same time. And here's the kicker. The technology to do this, to actually engineer the atmosphere on a large scale, it's not science fiction. It's all documented, it's patented, and it's been around for decades.
And this whole theme of, let's call it obscured control, it doesn't stop with our atmosphere. It's happening in the digital world too. This quote you're seeing, it comes straight from the AI company Anthropic. They're describing the exact moment one of their machines started directing its own cyber attack against human systems, with almost no human oversight. This is a huge deal. It's a fundamental shift in what conflict can even look like.
Now, the public story was that the AI made a few mistakes, but the sources we're examining suggest that's just the story we're being told. The whispered reality, the talk in security circles, is that true polymorphic AI malware. We're talking about code that intelligently rewrites itself to stay hidden, probably already exists in classified, secret environments.
So, we've taken a hard look at our present. Now let's turn the clock way back and question our past. What if the entire story of human history, the one we all learn in school, is just
fundamentally incomplete.
The source material has a name for this idea, the reboot hypothesis, and it completely challenges that conventional story of us slowly progressing from primitive to advanced in one straight line. Instead, it asks a pretty wild question. What if our civilization isn't the first? What if we're just the latest version in a long series of reboots? And the evidence for this is actually pretty fascinating when you lay it all out. Look at this timeline. You've got stone tools showing up before the species we thought made them even existed. You've got Homo erectus, who basically just plateaus, doesn't change for 1 million years. Then you see these near-extinction events, followed by these sudden massive explosions in creativity and art. And then bam, civilizations just ignite, almost all at once, all over the globe. That doesn't look like a smooth, steady climb, does it? It looks more like a series of experiments.
And just to put our own, let's call it volatility, into perspective, the source material makes this amazing comparison. It contrasts humanity with the anaconda. The anaconda has been pretty much the same for 12 million years. It's a perfect model of stability. And us? By comparison, we're the unstable variable in this whole planetary equation.
But what if that instability isn't all our own doing? What if it's been influenced? This is where the source material introduces a really fascinating, kind of mind-bending concept: ultra-terrestrials. Now, these aren't aliens from other planets. The idea is that they're a coexisting intelligence that's always been here, woven into the fabric of our reality. They're described as shapeshifters, appearing throughout history in whatever form our culture could process at the time. So maybe as fairies or angels, and in our modern era, maybe as the occupants of strange craft. Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. We've got surveillance tech, we've got these hidden operations, we've got a completely rewritten version of history. Now, let's zoom out one last time to look at the big metaphysical picture that one source suggests ties every single one of these things together. This big idea is called the tectonic struggle. And the easiest way to think about it is like a planetary conflict between two different operating systems. You have the old paradigm, which is like this old, clunky legacy software. It's all about control, limitation, and it's literally anchored into the earth. But then you have the new paradigm. That's the upgrade. It's a faster, lighter vibration, pushing for more awareness, more freedom, and more individual sovereignty.
And that brings us to the final, and honestly the most important piece of this whole puzzle. Because after looking at all these huge, complex systems of control, it all boils down to the power of one single thing: your individual consciousness.
And this isn't just some philosophical what-if idea. The source actually grounds this in the findings of quantum physics. The basic concept is that the universe exists as this giant field of pure potential, like a sea of infinite possibilities, until a conscious observer, like you, looks at it. And that simple act of looking is what causes one specific reality to kind of lock in and become real. The implication is, it's just staggering. It means your consciousness isn't just watching the movie, it's helping create it.
But, actually wielding that creative power, it's not a simple, straight line. The mystic Gurdjieff talked about two major sticking points that show up on any journey of real change. The first one is that point where the novelty wears off and it starts to feel like hard work. We've all been there. But the second one, that's the big one. It comes right before a major breakthrough, when your fear of really changing is at its absolute peak. And according to this model, if you don't make a conscious push, a real effort right at those moments, your progress just stalls.
So how does this actually work? Well, the idea is surprisingly simple. Your awareness acts like a tuning fork, and reality, the world around you, just naturally hums to whatever frequency you're putting out. So if your consciousness is tuned to fear, you're going to experience a world that reflects that fear right back at you. But if you're tuned to things like coherence and creativity and sovereignty, you'll experience a reality that matches that frequency.
And that brings us right back to the ultimate question, doesn't it? If your active observation is the very thing that turns possibility into reality, if your awareness is the final crucial ingredient in the whole recipe, then what world are you going to choose to observe?
You've been listening to the Weaving the LightNet TLDR. To explore more about any of these topics, visit lightnet.co.uk or listen to the full deep dive podcast episode linked below. Give the video a like, share this episode with others who would appreciate it, and subscribe to join us next week as we continue weaving the web of planetary consciousness together. Stay sovereign.